Hey guys, welcome to Entertainment Talk Nation. This is Rob. This video, we're going to talk about, of course, Godzilla, the Monsterverse. We're going to go over the box office a little bit, and we're going to talk about the sequel, if we get one. Hasn't been confirmed yet, but I think we're all feeling pretty confident that there will be one on the horizon. So, obviously, Godzilla X Kong had a huge weekend with $80 million at the domestic box office, $194 million. Worldwide, which was the second biggest opening for them for the Monsterverse since 2014, and that also stands against the trend that the Monsterverse movies were having, where they were actually having diminishing returns. Although you can put an asterisk next to Godzilla vs. Kong, since that movie came out during the pandemic and it also came out at the same time on streaming service HBO Max. So that movie was still a great success financially, considering the time it came out and considering it was on a streaming platform already. So obviously the movie has been destroyed by some critics, and it kind of makes you wonder sometimes, like, you gotta know what you're gonna get into when you're gonna see a movie like this. And I get it, you know, there's a story is thin, but it was a great adventure to watch, and I had a lot of fun watching with my kids. They loved the movie, and it was definitely geared towards kids, but it was still entertaining nonetheless. And actually right now, interestingly enough, it's doing pretty good during the week. It's actually up to $209 million worldwide and $94 million domestically. So it's gone up like $14 million since starting from Monday to this point. So that's pretty good. And we'll see how the legs on it are after this weekend, if it has a drop of greater than 50%. But so far, despite the critics, it seems to be getting good word of mouth from audiences. Audiences are just, the most common word you hear is fun. And you know what? The reason you hear that is because that's what it is. It's fun. So we're gonna definitely talk a lot of Godzilla in the coming weeks, including streams. I know you guys still have a lot to discuss. So in this particular video though, I kind of want to go into the whole sequel talk. There are a lot of people excited about sequels. I myself am excited to see where they're gonna go. And a lot of people seem to be very, very dead set on this recent comment that Adam Windgard made in regards to him having an idea of wanting the next movie to be a little bit reared back a little bit, be a little bit more darker in tone, a little bit more serious, and to be Godzilla centric. And you know, and a lot of people seem to be very excited at this, and I'm, you know, I look at it and I'm like, okay, well, he didn't say that is a definite, and we still haven't gotten official confirmation. So I'm, you know me, I'm very kind of just leave it back, and you know, these are great things to read, but I don't let my expectations get high until I have an official word. But I see a lot of people getting super excited about this. Some people are even thinking that this is set in stone. It is not. One thing I will say is, if you have been keeping up with what Adam Windgard has been talking about from about a week before the movie came out until after the movie came out, he's kind of been a little all over the place. You know, he mentioned that, of course, about the more centric Godzilla story. He mentioned about all these different ideas he had for a sequel. He's talked about how Godzilla vs. Destroyer is his favorite movie, but Hedorah is his favorite monster. So I kind of feel like I know where he's at. I mean, he's probably been excited about doing these movies. Obviously, you can tell by the way he makes them. He's probably jacked with how successful the movie is. So he's like probably on cloud nine. He's got so many things all over the place going on in his head. But I do think that a Godzilla-centric, darker tone movie, while I'm obviously not going to be against that. I mean, I love both versions of a Godzilla movie. I love the serious tone, and I love the more, you know, crazy, out there, Showa-esque kind of movies. But I do tend to lean more towards the serious one. This is why 2014 was one of my favorites. I'm just unsure that they can actually fall back to that. I'm not saying he would go full turnaround and back to that kind of aesthetic, but at the same time, you know, they have been so successful with this crazy route, even more successful than I thought it would be possible. You know, a lot of you guys have been here for a while. I have said in the past, there's just certain things that won't work. There's just certain things you probably want to take it easy on. But you know what? I've been completely wrong. And I've mentioned that on the stream. I mentioned that in my last video. And I'm happy to be wrong, because it's nice to see people enjoying the crazy things that can come up in a Godzilla movie. You know I love it, but I know that a lot of people see it as cheesy. And yes, people still see it as cheesy. I mean, a lot of people have said that about this movie, but they still like it. They still enjoy it. And that feels pretty good, pretty good. So I just think, with all this excitement, with all this success, and feeling good and confident that we may get a sequel, I'm always ready for the MonsterVerse to end. Not because I'm tired of it, not because I want it to end, but because the day's gonna come, right? And while I feel just as confident as everybody else that we're gonna get a sequel, I'm not so confident that we're gonna get that particular one in regards to the Godzilla-centric story. And I just say, be cautiously optimistic. I see some people so excited for this and pretty much writing home that, yeah, this is it, this is what they're gonna do. And I just don't think it's that much of a sure shot. Number one, it's Adam's idea, which means Adam would have to return as the director. And I am all for it. I want Adam Windgard to return as director for the next movie. But again, that's a choice that has to be agreed upon between him and the studio. It's not set in stone yet. He is working on other projects. I think one of the things I heard him talking about is he's working on a Thundercats movie. So that's one thing. The second thing is, numbers matter, right? And when you look at the numbers of the last two movies, Godzilla and Kong together on the screen is a sure moneymaker. And I do think telling a story through Kong is a lot easier than doing it through Godzilla. And I also think that the studio is going to look at this and say, well, look, a lot of people seem to enjoy just coming to the movie and getting lost in these crazy moments and these crazy set pieces for 2 hours at a time. Do we really want to slow down the pace now and try and bring it back to a more serious, darker tone where we started? And that is something that, as much as we may all want that, and that's the style we like, looking at it from a broader perspective in terms of what the audience expects when they come into these movies now, it could actually have a negative impact. Even if the movie's good, even if it's received well, if people come to a Godzilla movie and they see something a little bit more akin to 2014, you know, that might backfire. So I don't think it's going to be a sure shot. Now, you can still do a Godzilla-centric story and have a Showa-esque movie, which I think would probably be a happy medium. I really don't care one way or another who the story is focused on, but as of right now, because of the way Kong's always been developed versus how Godzilla's always been developed, it just makes more sense to have Kong as the centerpiece of the story than Godzilla, because it's easier to have him connect with the audience. Godzilla never really connects with the audience, and even his best movies, he is not the main story. He is the result of the main narrative. For example, we go back to -1. Godzilla was in the movie, fantastic scenes. He is the result of what the characters were facing due to, you know, World War II, post-World War II, and things like that. You look at 1954, Godzilla was the result of, you know, nuclear testing and things of that nature. It wasn't about a story that started with him and went through the whole movie. It was about the characters and how they react and how they, you know, deal with the result of that, which is Godzilla. Even Shin Gojira, same thing. All those, even the most serious Godzilla movies, never centered around him as the character. They always centered on the human, and that's also what made them very good. You know, and then you look at the more, you know, juvenile movies and the cheesy ones, and they always take Godzilla on these crazy adventures and he's the hero. But again, the story is never really about him, for better or for worse. You know, he is the kind of monster that pops up and he plays hero, and then once he's done playing hero, he goes back. Doesn't really connect with humans at all. So, you know, I would love to see someone try that. You know, some of the other things you need to look at are behind the scenes. You know, what has Toho agreed to in terms of how they want Godzilla to be portrayed? Some people have said, and again, I don't know if this is true or not, there's some things about this agreement between Toho and Legendary that we just don't know about. But I've heard a lot of people say that Toho does not want Godzilla to show any kind of emotion or to be portrayed as anything but a destructive force. That's how we all know him. That's how we all love him. And I know his character has changed a lot in the MonsterVerse. This movie in particular, yeah, I hear a couple of people saying like, oh, well, he's such a dick and he's just killing these monsters. Yeah, but that's what I want. Personally, I didn't mind that. To me, it actually was nice to see Godzilla be a dominating force for a change. With all the monsters he's fought, yes, he's always had adversity and he's always had to either come back, whatever. But it was nice to see a movie where he is just a dominating monster. Like, no monster had to jump on him in this movie. You know, no monster. And I'm wondering if they did that to kind of make up for the fact that Mechagodzilla really wrecked his shit in Godzilla vs. Kong, because he was very dominating this movie. And I'm not saying I'd want to see that in every movie, but I think I appreciated in this one that he was called upon because of the fact that he is the king of the monsters. To me, I felt, even though this was a Kong-centric movie, I got more than enough of Godzilla for my taste, and he came across as a king of the monsters for me. Kong went to the king and said, hey, you want to come down and flex for me because I can't handle these two by myself. And Godzilla, after a little disagreement, got it together and he wrecked it. He wrecked it. I don't think there was ever a point in this movie where Godzilla was threatened at all. I don't think he was ever in danger. And it's nice to see that, even if it's only for one movie. So, but look, we have a lot to talk about. We're gonna do the stream Friday night, 8 o'clock, the latest. I have some videos coming. I want to talk about my ideas for sequels. I also want to talk about other things regarding just the community in general. Everybody seems to be on a high note. I haven't seen too many people making -1 is better than Godzilla X Kong video. I did see one. I didn't watch it. I saw, and when I looked at it, I kind of laughed because I predicted that on Twitter. I said, wait until we get all the Godzilla -1 are better than Godzilla X Kong videos. We already know that. It is a better movie overall, but two completely different styles. And quite honestly, I love them both. And I'm just an advocate for Godzilla. You guys know that. You've been on this video, on this channel for the last 10 years, going on 11 years. One of my biggest things is let's just keep the IP moving forward and keep the IP in the eyes as long as we can. And this has been more than I could expect. And anything when it comes to the IP of Godzilla and being on a silver screen and telling stories and having literature is just, it's a great thing. And the only way I feel that you could do that is to support every form of entertainment he is given. And Toho did a fantastic job with -1, and I think Legendary has done a great job with the MonsterVerse. It is right now the most successful cinematic universe out there. Maybe not by the numbers, because they're never going to reach Marvel or DC levels of money, but in terms of excitement and something that people go to the theater to see and becoming as recognizable as it is now, yeah, I would say the MonsterVerse is in a good place right now. Anyway, guys, that's it for this video. Let me know how you feel about the sequel talk. Let me know how you feel about the box office. It still seems to be doing good, even during the middle of a work week. So, but we'll have a lot more to talk about. So, this is Rob signing off for E.T.N, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Take it easy.